Welcome to episode number 3 of the podcast. Today we discuss all things to do with working at home and go off on little tangents and rants. So we discuss a little bit about the coronavirus, a little shout out to the NHS, and just random little bits that we'll just chuck in between conversations, and obviously try and cue this in to be as useful to as many people as we can, because everyone's trying to get that side hustle in as well. Enjoy.
What are we calling this? The MH Hokkaido podcast? I think we can.
Pretty much. Two guys rant a lot.
I go off on tangents.
Pretty much.
So the main topic of today is working at home with everything going on, and basically just making it as productive as possible. So I think we've both got a couple of ideas on this one. Myles has just done a post on this on his social media, so I will let him start.
Shameless plug over here at Myles Harrison PT. So get following that. Before we start, ladies and gentlemen, let's first talk about Mike's concession of red wine he's currently drinking. No, that is not Diet Pepsi. That is classical red wine.
Love a bit of red.
While he's got that, I've got the standard British cup of tea.
It's a Friday night. I mean, I think it's a Friday night. I don't even know anymore. Nobody knows what it is anymore.
Every day's rolling into one.
Every day is a Saturday. It's fine. Every day could be wine day.
Wow, this weather is proper mugging us off with its lovely sunshine.
Yeah. Right. So I'm still a working position where I work at a Sainsbury's, so I'm still going to work, and everything's just really weird because they're only letting so many people in the store at a time. So the store feels weird.
Yeah, I can imagine. Have you seen much social distance going on at work?
Like, some people are like dead paranoid about it. Like, apparently yesterday morning someone came in with, like, the World War II gas masks.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen a couple of people with like builders masks on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you want to come around mine, take down some drywall whilst you're here? It's just mad. Like, everyone's panicking way too much. And I'm like, if you're gonna get it, or you're that worried about getting it, why are you even coming to a supermarket? Because it's like,
the moral of that story is to stay home. Anyway, back on to this again already. We've even got a little bit of a tangent before we even started.
We're already off it.
I know, exactly. Let's just throw this out of the equation. Bam! Goes there. No, obviously today's podcast is going to be mainly about for the people that are currently working at home. So if you're quite lucky, for example, like Mike is, who is able to work at Sainsbury's, this may not be the video for you. But saying that, you can probably take some little tips from it. But no, this is mainly for people who obviously do like office calls, service calls, obviously where they've been sent home and they've been able to do work at home. So obviously provide you guys with a little bit of tips to make sure that... Go on.
Also, potentially for people that are like on a style of like side hustle. So obviously for me, if I'm working at Sainsbury's, I've also got my PT and social media to do as well. So I think for the short amount of time that you potentially might have if you work a 9 to 5 and then in the evening you're trying to start something for the future, this might be important to get the best out of your time as well. Sorry about cutting in.
Also, but also as well, like, if you're someone who is self-employed and stuff like that, obviously your job isn't involved around a 9 to 5 hour working life. You're going to be obviously contacting clients, you're obviously going to be emailing clients, you're obviously going to be sending messages outside of work. So it's just about having a little bit of structure around that, just so you don't feel like you're constantly working and you obviously have different part of your life. Also, as well, I do apologise. I am currently God with this light above my head.
Tangent. I'm gonna have to have an alarm on my desk that be like, we're going off.
Set it to every 5 minutes because that's how it's going to go. Yeah, but pretty much, we're just going to be naming a few obviously tips these are obviously going off the tips that I've already made on my Instagram post. And then we're just going to elaborate them. If we got a few more, we'll add them across the here. So the first kind of tip that I put in was to stick to one place in the house. So obviously my thinking of this is if you've got yourself like an office, you primarily want to keep yourself to that one place. You don't want to start doing things in like the living room, the bedroom and stuff like that, simply because you're going to be constantly working. You're going to allow yourself to obviously answer that one more email. You're going to be obviously applying to that one more person or anything like that. And ideally, what you want to do is to be the most productive way you can possibly be is to stick in one room. That way, when you enter it, pretty much you know you got to get your thinking cap on, and obviously get to it. And then obviously when you leave that room, you pretty much know. Then that's it. It's back to social life.
I think it's like your bed as well, though. Like your bed is for sleeping. If your body just thinks, "Oh, bed's just for chilling," and when you actually need to go to bed and go to sleep, your body's just like, "eh." So I think you need to run it in the same principle. Like if you spent your entire day sitting in bed, lying in bed, watching TV, it'll get to a certain point when you need to go to bed at night, but your body doesn't know. Like it hasn't got that cue. Be like, right, I'm getting into bed. This is when I need to mentally turn off and be like, right, I am going to sleep. So like,
yeah, exactly, and also as well as human beings, we're all creatures of habit. So obviously, we're like, for example, as Mike just said, obviously we're going to be doing stuff in a following sequence. So the bed analogy was a great example and stuff like that. But yeah, have you anything more on top of that?
What is your room?
My room,
Yeah,
at the moment, this room that I'm in at the moment.
is it a lounge or a bedroom or?
It's a little bit of a lounge, so this is kind of like my living room at the moment.
Right. Okay.
So I say that I'm kind of being a little bit of a hypocrite myself at the moment because, unfortunately, due to circumstances and living elsewhere, this is also / my bedroom. So yeah, not obviously following the prime example myself, but I do cases anytime I do work, anytime I do FaceTime sessions or anything like that or online, I'm pretty much doing it in this place.
Yeah. I mean I'm a bit hypocritical as well, but like for me now my desk is like here and my bed is like here, but like
Yeah,
my bed I'll get up, make my bed, and I won't touch it again until I'm actually going to bed because that's when I'm like, right, okay, this is when I'm going to bed. And I think a lot of people need to get that with work as well. So it's like get to your desk. If that's where you do work, do work. Put your phone somewhere else. Put everything else. Don't eat at your desk. That's a big one for me. Because if you treat it like a social area, you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm not really in the mood for work because I'm eating or I'm used to doing nothing here. So just isolate one spot. I've probably nicked another point there, haven't I?
kind of. They obviously each one of them are is going to draw into kind of each one.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll make a main point out of one. The second one I kind of have is obviously have a schedule in the task sheet. So obviously as personal trainers, we have obviously a timetable that we obviously have set time for our clients. If you're excessive like me, I put time in when I sleep, when I eat, when I want to study, when I want to train. This way I pretty much know that my whole day is set. I quite like following an order in that kind of way. I don't know about yourself, Mike, but that's generally the way I kind of run things when it comes to my business and my personal life.
I'm not as strict as I have been because obviously at the minute I'll just work training around Sainsbury's. But when I used to work on ships, obviously it'd work like a normal sort of schedule. So like you would in a normal job where you get your schedule, ours would work to an entire 7-month period. So obviously we get it a week at a time, and I will literally sit there when I get my schedule and be like, right, I could train here or I could train here. I don't focus with food because I'll just eat when I can. But like do I want an early session that day? Do I want a rest day? And like, I think a lot of people need to figure that out with their training as well. Because it's like, if you don't sit
Yeah,
and figure out where you want to train and where you need to train and where works best for you to actually get a good session in, you're going to fall at the first hurdle.
but also at the same time as well, it's just like when you first wake up, you've got less to think about. Obviously, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this and do this," things might last a little bit longer or something like that. But if you have like a little bit of a time scale, and obviously take granted of what time, how long things can be, I think it's a really productive way of getting through the day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like for example, like you just said there, I perfectly know for me, especially if like when gyms are open. Unfortunately, they're not really at the moment, but
I'm waiting
I
for
know
the day.
exactly.
For the day.
Loving that home workout life. Constantly in the sun, getting my burnt. But yeah, I know for me, my favorite time to working out is between 12 and about 2. Gym's generally quiet.
Yeah.
The 2 squat racks that we have in the gym are free. So yeah, and stuff like that. The reason why I put time into eat as well, just so I can allow myself to eat, especially if my schedule gets dead quite busy. As people know me, I'm quite a snacker, so I always grab things now and then. I mean, like, I do love my custard creams.
I was going to say snacks normally include a lot of carbs. Like, I don't really tend to snack protein options unless I have like a shake. So it's like even today, like they've been giving us like food for free, just to like as a thank you for like all the crap and basically just being under the fire of this virus or whatever. We've had like a tuck shop, and it's just like I look at everything, I'm like carb, carb, chocolate, carb, carb, carb. I'm like,
Chocolate's not a micronutrient.
oh yeah, it's really micro. But no,
It's special.
I feel like now because you still got to hit like everything that you would with your normal training, like all your nutrient goals and your macros and your training. Like a lot of people neglect it to the amount of food that they can get. So,
Oh yeah, exactly. But I mean, look, also as well, like we can obviously we're talking about it right now, but of course, when we're in the full motion of it, it's pretty enough our lives. We pretty enough wake up thinking about these things and going to sleep out these days. But then let's say your average Joe who's doing a 9 to 5 job, and his jobs and office jobs, there's going to be certain periods where he's generally not thinking about it. So when he obviously, for example, now when he's been sent home and stuff like that, his schedule's pretty much been straight out the window. And it's very important to obviously make sure you have these in fit place. So
yeah,
that's right.
That's a big one. I think not just for being productive at a desk, but just being productive in general.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right.
The other thing as well, I want to obviously to slash on that is having a task sheet. So obviously, if you've got your schedule set up, you know you kind of what you need to do in a day.
Yeah.
So I would say the night before, you think about it, if you do 3 tasks a day, that's 21 tasks pretty enough in a week. So that's a lot of tasks done. I know.
I'm not that precise.
I've definitely not got the calculator on my phone right now doing 3 times 7.
No.
Yeah. No, definitely not at all. Let me just lock my phone. But yeah, for me, it works. I have to be that kind of precise to go, I'm a kind of all in or not kind of person when it comes to stuff like this. And even if, for example, like sometimes if I do maybe let's say 2 out of the 3 tasks that I've aimed to done, I've still become a quite productive person. I've got main things that I really wanted to do. But yeah, like I said, like obviously you just about to say then obviously you're not about precise with things and stuff like that. So it's all a kind of different approach.
Yeah.
But I definitely find that doing these kind of little things as well, especially if you can get yourself into the habit of it, can make a massive difference.
Yeah. I feel like the principles of it are right, but I think if I wasn't at Sainsbury's and I was like solely self-employed, I'd have to run that kind of ruling just so I can get everything right. Because obviously you have like a cushion when you're working within a corporate, like I wouldn't say corporate as in like an office, but as in like under someone else, that everything's pretty much set up for you. You get paid at the same date. You don't have to worry about like your your taxis because they're all already checked for you. Like all self-employment, you've got to like save your receipts and all this. And I'm like, oh God, I'm already nervous for it. But obviously, the freedom that it earns you, I wouldn't. What's the word? I wouldn't take it for anything. I think a lot of people do take it for granted that they're their own boss. Obviously, right now with the pressure on so many self-employed people, and the government saying, "Yeah, we'll pay you, but we won't pay you till June." I'm like, that's not really a cushion. That's a different day. But I got really annoyed by that message. But yeah, tasking, I think when you're on your own is really important. But tasking, if you're just looking at your training goals, I'd say just make sure that you can concentrate on when you're training and what you're training. Because I really hate people that are really blasé with their training. Like, oh, I'm going to train today. Oh, what are you training? Well, I don't know. It's like you're not going to get the best results if you're like half-arsed. And it's like if you do a push session on a Monday and a push session on a Wednesday, and you neglect every other body part, your results are going to hinder. So
I am just training biceps every day, all day, and that is my program pretty much.
COVID-19, hashtag COVID-19. No, it's
There's that.
it does frustrate me, but that's a different topic. Right, what's the next one?
So the one I've got next is having regular time breaks. Obviously, my thinking behind this is we have very got limited focus. I definitely have. I've got literally an attention span of a fish. So for me to have regular breaks, what are you laughing at?
It's when we were playing Warzone the other night, and you were like, "He's not gonna stay upstairs. He's gonna get bored. He's gonna want to go adventure." I'm like, "Yep." So this is basically explaining.
Exactly. Like, just obviously, if we're type of people that obviously can't focus for a lot longer than period in, by the time we go past that kind of period where we can focus a little bit longer, we're going to start losing attention. We're obviously not going to be able to get away from that. So having regular breaks where you can kind of like turn off, reset, make a brew, have a drink, get some little bit of food, can be a really good way to kind of just recharge the battery. Especially, for example, if you're setting time for education. I mean, if you're overloading yourself with a load of information, you're not taking little breaks, that's going to all roll into one. So that's definitely going to make a hindrance on your learning progress. Yeah. It's not.
I just started laughing in that because it just made me laugh last night when like shout out to all the NHS staff in here, but I was going to clap, but then me and Myles forgot it was on. At the time we were just like hiding in a petrol station on Warzone, just being like, yeah, whatever, like where should we go?
And we're trying to give protection of we're good people on here, Mike, and all that. And here you telling people that we're in a petrol station. God. Yeah. Shout out to all the NHS people out there. You are obviously doing a fantastic job at the moment. Obviously risking your health, obviously, to provide everyone with either a little bit of sanity in this world at the moment. Hands to you. So we'll do a little clap right now, Mike. We'll do a little bit of a clap right now. And I'm going to stop that now.
Everyone's going to be like, what the hell? Right. Yeah, so, what are we on, number 4?
Well, yeah, we're going to be on number 4 now. To say it again, kind of setting time for your work life by turning off social media notifications. I mean, the Instagram can wait. Your side chick can wait. Yeah, exactly. You just need to like when it comes to working, you need to set time and just do the work. If you're procrastinating and obviously having other things involved, YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast while working, great idea, but I probably wouldn't recommend doing that as well while you're working. You need to solely be doing that one task.
Don't write any of our like random stuff within your work.
Yeah, exactly.
I probably. Yeah,
But yeah,
my
obviously we just gotta be able to just focus on work and stuff like that. Because especially if you're let's say you're doing your normal job at work, you'll do conference calls, meetings, stuff like that. They ain't gonna allow you to do like just message people and go on social media and scroll through Instagram. So when you're at home, you shouldn't really be doing that yourself. Obviously, they're letting you work home for a reason, and you still got to set the standard. Obviously, we don't need to be telling you that; you already know that yourself.
Yeah.
But just don't let that standard slip, where you have your phone in the side and it's constantly beaming at you because someone's liked your post or someone's messaging you. Just turn it off. Turn it off. Do that document. If you've got conference calls and stuff like that, just completely turn your phone off. Like I said, all them things can wait on the side until you go.
This isolated point of your house should be exactly like work. Nothing should change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Myles is even stopping swiping right now just for this podcast.
I know, exactly. I am literally solely just focusing on the podcast. So, but unfortunately, no one's messaging me. I'm all alone on this. Exactly. Yeah, I'm all swiping up more like bam, 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 bam. But yeah, let's go on to the final point before you carry on with anything you're going to say. To go on that final point of this, I just said go for a walk after you're finished. I mean, get yourself out of that mind zone. If you're, for example, if you've been cooked up in your day working at home, the least thing you want to be doing is technically go from one room to the other. You're going to kind of still feel like you're in work. Yeah. So I would recommend doing your walk then. We'll allow one form of exercise, one form of walking each day. Go and walk your dog. Go and get yourself some milk or something like that, if it's available at the moment. Just so you can get yourself out to that mind frame. And then when you return home, it's kind of like you've just come home from work. And then obviously you can do the good stuff and all that. You can play Call of Duty. You can get yourself on FIFA. You can attend to your children. You can attend to your wife. Just go along your day like you would.
Yeah.
So yeah. Apart from that, would you add on to anything from that, Mike?
Yeah, I'd say